Well, hello, friends. Welcome to Monday and welcome to the DMs Live. Wait, let me fix this camera real quick. There we go. Boy, I got some fun stuff to share with you guys today. Thank you for checking in. This is our Substack exclusive Shitty DMs Live, where I go through, shitty DMs. And I use our perfect message tool to help break those down, show you where they could have been fixed, and give some advice. So, welcome in again. This is something that we do to help the community. Today, I'm going to throw you guys a curveball, though. Um, when we talk about shitty DMs, again, for those of you that are unfamiliar, I'll just give you a little context. This is a segment that I've been doing for roughly started as a social media segment about 2.5 years ago, where I would just break down random direct messages. And that was a lot of fun. We created a lot of fun content. But from that, we've also developed a course, the Shitty DMs course, which is available on sayless.academy. And we've developed a perfect message tool, which is a free tool available to anyone to use to help you to craft the perfect message for your direct outreach. And that's available at perfectmessagetool.com. So today I want to talk about, before we get into this, to breaking something down, I want to get into a hot topic. And before I get into this, understand where this comes from. In a world of polarization and opinions, more times than not, people are on a journey to prove themselves right, not to get it right. Think about it. Think about all the content that you consume, and everyone right now, it benefits you to have a strong opinion on whatever your platform. It doesn't matter if you're right, it's just about having a strong opinion and getting other people to think that your strong opinion is accurate. Well, in business, that can hurt you. In sales, that can hurt you. In life, that can hurt you. Um, as it relates to business and sales, I'm on this journey to make sure that I get it right, and that's been a mantra. It's been a motto of mine for a very long time. I don't need to be right. I got to get it right, and getting it right means that you have to be willing to first put yourself in uncomfortable situations and challenge those things that you think that you know. Don't get it twisted. I've been doing this a very long time, so there's a lot of fundamental truths that I believe are pretty biblical as it relates to sales and business, just like things that don't change. But what does constantly change is technology. Technology changes, the landscape changes, the geography changes, and we have to understand how to best use those fundamental truths that we've learned and know in those new landscapes, leveraging those new technologies. And right now, that newest technology is AI. Okay, I'm about to say something that might be polarizing to some of you guys, but I believe it to be pretty damn true. And that is that AI is the biggest threat to sales right now. What I mean by that is, yes, I know we all know the benefits of it, but in transactional sales, AI is your biggest threat, meaning that the transactional aspects of sales, of selling, AI is increasingly becoming more efficient, increasingly becoming more effective in those transactional parts of sales. So, if you are in an SDR role, if you are in a BDR role, that is a sales development role, a business development role, which are largely roles that are on the front end of the sales process. And more times they're not, are a little bit more transactional, right? They do mass outreach in order to find prospects that can be scheduled for meetings that where you can have, do real discovery and that sort of thing. So think about that. That's the transactional part of sales. So if that's the transactional part of sales, and again, largely there's a big numbers aspect to that part of the game. If it's largely about awareness and about converting for an appointment with a specialist or an expert in an AE, whatever, well, AI can probably do that better. I'm not saying that it does it better today, but I think we'd be fools to not think that we're not headed that direction. And I know it doesn't feel right, right? It feels icky. But you know what? When these new technologies come in that we use for business, they often feel icky at first. Right now, I'll give you an example of like the telephone. Okay. We've built business models. I personally owned call centers for many years, business models all around the telephone, and that as a technology used to create opportunities and to close business. Go back in time. I bet you that felt icky as hell 60, 70 years ago, right? When it started to be adopted more and people were pissed off. They're like, oh, people are calling me, they're calling our homes and this and that. And it felt really icky until it didn't, until it became status quo, until it became the norm. So I think that that's where we are at as it relates to AI and outbound and prospecting. It feels icky right now. It feels icky and it's clunky, but I'm of the opinion that it will become the norm eventually. Now, the way that it's being done right now, that's the challenge, right? How do we bridge that gap? I wouldn't be a great teacher, trainer, coach if I wasn't committed to getting it right. If I was so stuck on my all of my own preconceived notions that I didn't have a growth mindset and a desire to make sure that I'm giving you all the very best information that I can, not just from something that I'm reading from others or something that I'm hearing from other places or from others' experiences, but from my own experiences. And I believe that that is why so many people have connected with me over the years, and I've had so much success in sales training. Is because I'm not just someone that's talking about it. I'm someone that's living it. I'm a player coach. I'm in the trenches right along with you. So to that end, as we talk about shitty DMs, I got to keep it 100 with y'all. Your boy is guilty of sending shitty DMs, but the intention is good. Hear me out on that. So, as part of my journey and growth, again, growth mindset to be the very best trainer that I can be, I have to test out the technologies. I got to know what's out there. I got to know what's out there. I got to take those licks and those learning curves. And those learning opportunities rather, so that I can be better informed to be able to serve you all and to serve my businesses. Growth mindset. Okay. So over the last month, I have been myself and my little team have been working hard at work on AI SDR motions. Why? Because again, I believe that it's going to be the future. That transactional part, the front end of sales in some respects, in certain areas and certain campaigns, and I'll tell you exactly how we're using it, it's going to be the future. So I specifically have been using this, and in my Substack, I'm going to give you guys all the details. We're going to break it down. I'm going to give you direction once I'm done with this so that you have a roadmap of how to do this using a relationship centric philosophy and to be successful in programming and these AI SDR motions, setting this in place for your businesses. So, again, about a month ago, we started with this AI SDR motion, and it uh, has been painful. It has been painful. And I've given the tool access to my platform. And um, so I want to share with you guys a couple of the key learnings and a couple of the gaps and things that kind of can get you ahead of the game. So some of the biggest mistakes or challenges that I've been having. So here's before I tell you guys these specific bullet points, let me give you my biggest challenge. My biggest challenge thus far has been that the AI engines and the people that create these engines are flawed. Their whole approach is flawed. And so I've been trying to recreate a machine within a machine that is flawed. Here's what I mean. Their machines are built to try to mimic human behavior and mimic authentic connection and conversation, which in itself becomes very inauthentic, right? And so they've built the machine out to interact and to engage in ways that mimic human behavior, but it comes off super inauthentic. So I have been working to try to recreate again the machine inside the machine so that it communicates as authentic as I want it to, in my voice, but not just only in my voice, with my philosophy. So I don't want it to be me. I don't want it to imitate me. No, it's no different than a owner of a company or a leader in a company that has meetings with customers, right? What I mean by that is I might have a front end SDR or BDR that's doing outreach or an admin that sets appointments for me. And then I hop on those appointments. I'm not doing the front end. Someone else is doing the front end. So I look at it like that. It's the same sort of thing like this, but the friction point and the issue is that these tools are communicating as though they're me, and I'm fighting tooth and nail against it and trying to reprogram these things so that it doesn't do that, because I don't want it to do that, because again, I believe that that's inauthentic. And number one, and number two, I believe that we are all super in tune with that now. Like when we see something that's AI, we can typically spot it. Our brains are that far advanced and we've seen it so much that we can kind of say, okay, this is probably, even if there's a question where it's like, oh, this is probably not AI, it's still probably AI, it still can be negative, and I don't want that. So okay, so let me get into a couple of these key learnings that I want you guys to take away as you're trying to work through this thing yourself. And I'm going to crack the code. We're working on it. We've committed to it. We pre-purchased this stuff for a few months just so that we can work through it. And I'm cracking some eggs and I'm pissing a few people off, and that sucks. I don't want to do that. But if you're not, this is a lesson in sales. If you don't ever get any pushback, if you don't ever get somebody that maybe is a little miffed, you're not doing enough. You're not pushing hard enough. You're not going enough to that edge. So yeah, that's happened and it sucks. Sorry for that, but for the greater good, it's going to help me to create a platform that's successful, and it's going to help me to be able to give you guys better direction and advice on how you can be successful leveraging these technologies too. All right, so the first thing is biggest, and this is my list of like biggest mistakes that these AI tools use and these engines in their automatic responses and all that sort of stuff. One thing is the first thing is it asks questions. I hate that. And so I've had to fight against that. And every time I see a message that goes out, I'm like, I go back in the system, I hit up my support folks and say, this is bad. I don't want this. Here's why I don't like that. Because when you're doing cold outreach, one of the things you have to connect with, and this will go back to my 3 W's philosophy and communicating who you are, what you do, and what's in it for me, is that one of the biggest parts of success in outreach and cold outreach philosophy is that you're respecting that person's time. So when I am asking you questions out of the blue and I have no context, I have no relationship with you, it shows a lack of respect, in my humble opinion, of their time. Like, get to the point. Why are you asking me questions? I don't even know you. Right? And sometimes these questions can be intimate questions, but I get these AI builders, they put these in there because they think that what they're doing is helping to engage in conversation and dialogue. And a year ago, they were probably right, before we all got desensitized to it. And when we thought it was real questions, when we thought it was really authentic, or someone that's reaching out to us and asking us a question, but now we know better. We got to think about how just amazing our brains are. And our brains have evolved to be able to receive messages in a certain kind of way. And when we get those messages from random people that ask us these questions out of the blue, the first thing we're thinking isn't like, oh, this person has a cool question about my post. Let me respond to that. We're thinking, oh, shit, this is AI, or, at best, why the hell is this person asking me a question? I don't even know them. All right. The second, and this ties into the first, they try to engage in BS, uh, I can't even read my handwriting. BS conversation. I'm trying to do the last. I'm not saying conversation, but trying to engage in kind of like BS dialogue, right? So it starts with like real, like superficial conversation, like, "Hey, really like that post that you sent about this, blah 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 blah. Okay, hey, what do you think about this?" And so I've been fighting tooth and nail, and I apologize to some of you guys that may have received some messages like that for my system. It ain't me, but again, it's part of the learning thing and me trying to help to retrain these things. And I'm hoping that by the time we're at the end of this, we'll be able to have something that actually helps this company that we're working with, and maybe we'll come up with a collaboration or something. But anyway, the point that I want to make is none of this BS back and forth attempt at fake conversation and fake dialogue. Get to the point. What's the outreach for? And you have to do that when you don't have great initial alignment. So when you have great initial alignment, meaning that you're reaching out with intention and the database that you're using, the fundamental, the context that are part of your that are the foundation of your campaign, there's alignment, meaning they're your ICP. You don't have to do all of this BS attempted conversation and dialogue like you're freaking I don't know, like an awkward speed dating thing. Is instead of that, there's already a foundation of alignment. So you just communicate the 3 W's. Who are you? What you do? What's in it for them? And then a call to action. And then a simple follow-up on that over time. Hey, were you able to check this out? Stuff like that, right? You'll see much more success that way. This has been proven. I've trained people for years on this, and many people have had success on it. So now the or with it rather. So now the key is how do we take that philosophy and train these engines to do it properly? So again, no BS like dialogue. Three, the language is too verbose. These are just things that I've learned through this, like the way they're training these engines. The language is too verbose. It doesn't speak like a human. It's like, more times than not, there are 3 or 4 sentences and they're mimicking human conversation. So it's 3 or 4 sentences and way more verbose than we would ever be in an attempt to connect better. Whereas the way that we would actually talk, I'll give you guys an example, like maybe it sees a comment and it's like, "Oh, I really enjoyed your comment on XYZ, and that shows a certain intention and this and that and blah, 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 blah." Where in real life, I might just say, "Hey, dude, great post on that. Really appreciate it. Keep up the good work." That's how we should be. That's how real humans communicate. And these AI tools are mimicking and not really doing, real authentic human communication. Um, my last piece of advice with these, or what I've learned, and piece of advice that I've learned with these AI tools is keep it transactional. I'm using it not as a way to mimic me or be me. I'm using it for the transactional part of sales. Okay. Let me give you guys a kind of something that you can compare to in the previous like growth of technology. So we all were on phones, right? Banging out dials. We'll just say like 10, 15 years ago. We're banging out phone calls, right? And then these companies came out with these things called like power dialers or automated dialers. And what did power dialers allow us to do? Instead of me manually punching in for these, to connect with people and maybe being able to dial 30 people in an hour, well, now I can dial 60, 100, right? Created a level of efficiency for me to be able to connect with more people. So I look at the use of AI tools and automation kind of the same way. How can we increase the efficiency in the way that we reach out to people for that initial transactional part of the sale? I'm not trying to make it me. I don't want it to to do presentations and all stuff. No, I'm trying to use it on the front end as an awareness. You see, because I've already done the work with the alignment. So I know that if I've got a block of people that I've got alignment with, they're in my ICP. Well, now I don't have the time to do all of the outreach that I'd like to do. So if I can put in place a technology that does that first level of transactional outreach, which is just simply awareness to people that I've got great alignment with, that's what I'm trying to accomplish. So now we can funnel to real conversation, real dialogue, right? But that's been the challenge. And so again, my advice, and this is what I'm working on, is keeping it transactional. I don't want it to try to be me because it's never going to be do a good job of being me. I'm unique. You're unique. It can't sell as good as you or better than you ever. But what it can do better than you and better than me is that first transactional part of awareness to my ICP, which I can funnel to a Zoom, a conversation, so on and so forth, right? So my objective in using these tools is let people know, hey, I'm here. This is what I do. The three W's: who I am, what I do, what's in it for them. Then the call to action is, hey, let's talk real human to human. All right. Um, so those are some of the things that I've learned. That last one I think is probably most important as you guys think about leveraging a tool like AI automation. I think it's most important because the philosophy of how you use these tools is what's ultimately going to make us successful. So thus far, has the engagement been successful? It has not, but not because, well, it's not been successful because I'm fighting against the inherent training and um, historical use of this technology in ways that, quite frankly, I don't think are smart or effective, especially at this stage of the game. So it's almost like building from scratch. So will we be? Yes, ultimately, because what we're doing is we're leveraging the technology to be more efficient and scaling that transactional part of the sales process. And when we get there, I will be sharing all the data with you all. All right, now let's move on to some shitty DMs. Um, I'm still going to encourage you guys to do what it is that you do. See, my business is a little bit different than some of you in the respect that I have online courses and these things. Like, I have a massive audience that we need to communicate to for this baseline of awareness for products that are transactional in nature, like online courses. I can't talk to every individual and be like, hey, you should take this course. No. So I have to leverage technology to make people aware of those courses, right? And that's where tech like this comes into play. And then the second part of it is it's just for me and my business is we have this big segment of people, like for example, that are courses that we're licensing that I have to make them aware. I've got to make deans aware. I've got to make administrators aware in different universities and um, those sorts of folks. So there's that part that we're using for that. So it can be something that you can implement in your business, but for most of you guys that are sellers, that are founders, they're individual contributors, I still at this stage of the game want you to focus on the 5 for 5. Okay, I'm going to keep you advised of the progress on this other campaign, but 5 for 5, that is 5 quality outreaches, 5 days a week. Do your homework, know who you're doing outreach to, and then use my 3 W's as you do that first initial communication, which is who you are, what you do, what's in it for them, and then, of course, your call to action. All right, so let's hop into Ronnell's DMs. Let's see what we got today. Hmm. Okay, okay. Let's see what we got, fam. Um, so for those of you that haven't been part of this, we just choose random messages and put them through the tool. The perfect message tool, not to be confused with the perfect match tool, which is also on our website. Perfect message tool is to help you to create the best messages for your outreach. The perfect match tool is to help you to create your ICP. All right, so let's pop in here. Let's find a random message. Oh, Tony Robbins sent me a message. That's long as shit. Let's try Tony's today. Oops. So what you do, guys, just go in there and copy the message. Now, I always recommend you do this with some messages, some pitches that are in your LinkedIn first before you use it for your own messages, just so you can understand how the tool works. Um, and then once you do that, put your sales messages in there. Once you again understand kind of the philosophy and all that and what it's going to do. All right, so we pop that in there, and now we're going to have it analyze. Oh, we got to felt. Hold on a sec. I think we got a time out on it. Hold on a sec. You guys hang in there with me. I promise you we'll get this fixed live. So this tool on occasion gets used so much that it has to be reset. And that's what we're doing right now. So just a brief little reset. Boom. And that'll be working perfect again. So if you do ever have that issue when using the perfect message tool, just come back to it. Like right now, because of the technology we used on the back end, there can be an occasion it has that reset that we need to do. But we usually get a notification when it does that and just reset it immediately. All right. So we got Tony Robbins in here. Let's see what the tool tells us about Tony Robbins. I'm going to have to totally refresh this bad boy. All right. Refresh. Uh-oh. What is going on here? That's weird. You know, sometimes tech be teching. Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. My bad. It wasn't fully refreshed yet. Okay. Come on. This is the first time this has ever happened when we are live. That's okay. Come on. Uh-oh. Yeah, he was friend of the. Huh. Hold tight, guys. I cannot. Oh, okay. Okay. I think I got it now. There we go. Now it's doing its job. While it's doing its job, let's go back and read Tony's message to me, which, by the way, I'm pretty honored. Tony Robbins. Tony says, "This is Tony Robbins," which, it says Tony Robbins, so you don't really have to do that. If you guys ever do that, you don't have to do that. But anyway, from your profile, I can tell you're someone who's committed to growth. Oh man, you're certainly right, Tony. That's why I'm inviting you to something special, a complimentary one-on-one strategy session with one of my results coaches. This isn't generic calls, 30 minutes, focus on insight, blah, blah, blah. These coaches are trained in exact system. Okay. The good thing I can tell you already right now where it's going to help the tool is there's a lot of data in here. And I always say when you're doing your message the first time, when you're using the tool, put a lot of data in there. Just because it'll help you to refine it and make it more succinct. Okay. And the more information you give it, the better it's going to be able to help you. All right, so let's see what the tool says about Tony's message. All right. So first it says as an ICP fit, that's a pretty big good score. It says it's a 7 out of 10. It says what works well is the message targets individuals committed to personal growth, a likely fit for Tony Robbins' audience. What needs improvement is it lacks specificity on who exactly the target is, i.e., entrepreneurs, leaders, etc. The specific recommendations is define the ideal customer more clearly. Now, with Tony and his team doing this, they're doing mass outreach, right? And so that's why they are less specific. But with that said, given what technology is able to do and their vast resources, they could do this better. They could use AI to make sure that as they're presenting that alignment value prop at the front end, that it is more specifically target towards me, right? And what I do again by leveraging AI to do it, but they didn't do that. All right. It says on the three W's, and the three W's again, who you are, what you do, what's in it for me. It says what works well is the message establishes Tony Robbins' credibility and outlines what's offered in the session. What needs improvement is the who I am section is too brief. The what's in it for me could be a connect could be better to connect the benefits of KPIs or outcomes. Now, the one thing I will say is that with the who I am, when you're Tony Robbins, you don't need to be as specific, as specific in that because people know who the hell he is, right? But you, as the individual, that's why this advice is really great. You, as you're doing your outreach, you're not Tony Robbins, so you have to make sure that you're clearly articulating your credibility statement and your so they can know that you're someone that's legit and bring value to them. Again, it says the what's in it for me could better connect benefits to the specific KPIs or outcomes. There again, the what's in it for me, that's why they should care. Why should they care? Who are you? Why should I care who you are? And the reason that they care is going to be has to be tied to some value prop, some KPI, some outcomes that you are able to deliver for someone like them. Specific recommendations the tool says is expand on Tony's credibility, which again, we know who Tony is, so not such a big deal, and tie the benefits directly to common goals of the target audience. Boom. That's something they could really improve upon, right? If they're wanting to get conversions, which of course they do. Number three, the clarity. This gives it an 8 out of 10. It's given an 8 out of 10 because they gave a lot of information. Says what works well is the message is clean and straightforward with the focus on benefits. What needs improvement is it could simplify some language for quicker comprehension. Then gives us some recommendations. Use direct language such as achieve your goals faster, blah, blah. You guys can see that. Now, personalization, not so good, right? 5 out of 10. What works well is it attempts personalization by referencing the recipient's commitment to growth. What needs improvement is it lacks detailed personalization related to the recipient's specific industry or role. So it's not speaking to me specifically or my unique challenges, it's speaking to a real generalized audience. Call to action is clear, 7 out of 10. So overall, this gets a 6.6 out of 10, which ain't bad. Think about there's a couple areas that now we'll talk about communicating a little less verbose here in the moment, making sure or in a moment making sure it's succinct. But if you look at all the areas, the biggest areas for improvement were the personalization, right? And the three W's, which kind of again tied into the personalization a little bit, which with doing the sort of outreach that you guys are doing, that the 1-for-1 using the 5-for-5 is an easy fix. And even for them, leveraging technology, they could fix that by being smarter with how they're using their database and using their automation to an AI to make sure that it's that they're using you're using key information that personalizes it more for me. Okay, so let's get into the three priorities for improvement. It says clearly define uh, the ICP and tailor a message to them. Boom. So another way they could have done this is segmenting the database, and they segment people based upon a very specific industry. And so now that value prop, now they can include a value prop that applies to that very specific industry, right? So this is another way of just making sure that that message is landing uniquely with that ICP. It says enhance the who I am section. That's great advice for you and for me and most of us. But again, this is a guy that the world kind of knows. So a little less important to him. Three, increase personalization by connecting the benefits to specific roles or industries. Again, this is the stuff that we talk about all the time. Like we need to get more niche. We need to get more specific, right? And this is what's going to separate you and set you apart. So, if you guys use this tool, you know the way that it works. Again, so after you've done that, put that through there. It's going to give you a sample of how to do it. Um, give you some again real specifics so you can see right here. I don't want to go too much into it. I want you guys to get in there and play around, but and how to use the three W's framework. Start with who you are, your name, your name, your role, the company, your specialty, stated in the language that's specific to the vertical product. Credit. So here's an example. It's like, hey, I'm Tony Robbins, the world's number one life and business strategist, specializing in transformative coaching for leaders and high achievers, right? So it's like one powerful sentence that says this, right? And then there's I'm sorry, this. And then the what I do is so also you see it also kind of ties into what I just said in the example. But you see with each one of these, it's going to drop you down an example. We help professionals like you overcome growth plateaus with tailored coaching strategies so you achieve your goals faster with greater clarity, which is awesome. That's a great statement. Now, imagine how much more powerful that is if you just add something specific to the industry. So instead of we help professionals like you, say we help professionals in um, UCAS. We help professionals in banking and finance, whatever. So that little adjustment, that little bit of specificity just makes that land that much more. The what's in it for you, you'll gain clarity on your next step, accelerate your progress, enhance your strategic vision, just like top CEOs and athletes. You see how we're bringing all this together in like simple language that can be communicated efficiently and effectively. And the cool thing about this is that we got to think about we're in a battle of relevance. And so when people are looking at their DMs or looking at their emails, they're trying to disqualify you and disqualifying not because you're good or bad. They're just trying to clean up their messages. So the longer the message, the longer it takes sometimes to communicate some of these things, even if they are your ICP, it could not land and just they'll never look at it. And then a clear CTA, you open a 30-minute strategy, blah, 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 and the link. Okay. See, this stuff is simple, guys. It's simple when you understand the philosophy. Here's what's key: you understand the philosophy, and you start with at a place of very high alignment. That's when it becomes simple. Okay, high alignment. All right, let's try. Let's throw one more in here for fun. All right, that's a person not named Tony Robbins. uh, Reggie right here. Okay. Let's see how let's see how Reggie's message goes in. Okay, and again, guys, I don't ever check these beforehand because it's much funner it's much more is that a word? Funner? Anyway, it's much more fun just to like plug them in and see what happens. Okay. So we're gonna clear out Tony and we're gonna paste this new message in here from Reggie. So while it's working on Reggie's message, let's just read it real quick. So Reggie says, "Hi, Ronnell. I hope you are well. I'm organizing the business show Miami 2026, the world's largest event focused on business growth for SMBs, happening April 29th to 30th at Miami. Okay, over 6,000 SMB business decision makers are attending. all looking for solutions to grow their operations. I'd like to speak with you about exhibiting and potentially speaking at the event to promote your services directly to this audience. Are you available? Yeah, exhibiting. This is clearly exhibiting, but that's cool. That's me reading between the lines. Um, they want to sell me, uh, and they want to sell me a booth or something. All right. So now let's see what Perfect Message says about him. Okay, first, ICP fit. It says 8 out of 10. That's pretty high. It says what works well is the message targets small business coaches, which aligns with the audience of SMB decision makers attending the event. It says what needs improvement is ensure the recipient, Ronnell, is indeed a small business coach or involved in this sector. So the recommendations is validate Ronnell's role before sending. If he fits, emphasize how his expertise fits the audience needs. There you go. So 8 out of 10 is still good. Let's check the 3 W's. Gave him a 6 out of 10. It says what works well is the message establishes the event's credibility and outlines the opportunity for Ronnell to engage with a large audience. What needs improvement is the message lacks a direct explanation of Reggie's role and the specific benefits for Ronnell. Okay, what's in it for me? So clearly state Reggie's role and how Ronnell can specifically benefit exposure, lead generation as examples. Clarity gives it a 7 out of 10. This is actually doing pretty well. Says what works well. The message is generally clear and easy to read. That's what I want. I want you guys to just don't beat around the bush. Get to the point. What the hell is this about? Um, and be direct. What needs improvement? The introductory question could be more assertive and connected to the rest of the message. Here's the recommendation: remove the opening question or integrate it better with the proposal. All right. Personalization. This is where I knew it was going to fall off, but this is more of an awareness campaign. So I'm almost okay with that because they're fishing. They are doing a little bit more. This is a bit of casting a wide net. But this is, as we go back to how I started this whole conversation, leveraging AI and automation. This is a way that with smart use of AI, you can make it more personalized, to make it land better and probably get a better score than 5 out of 10. It says what works well is there is a basic level of personalization with the recipient's name. What needs improvement? The message lacks specific references to Ronnell's business or previous engagements. Specific recommendations include a sentence or two about Ronnell's work or achievements relevant to the event. Okay. Now that's for you guys. You should be doing that because you're doing 5 for 5, right? So that ain't hard for you to do. Look at their profile and make sure that you're including something that in your outreach that is specific um, and more intimate. Now, for him, it's harder to do, but it can still be done. Again, that's why we're working on this AI stuff to train these tools to better articulate that more that alignment. Right, that's the best way to put that. All right. Call to action to get 6 out of 10. It says what works well is the CTA is clear, asking for a call within the week. What needs improvement is it could be more specific and offer a few time slots or a calendar link. Yeah, I like specificity in the call to action. I like to be direct. Specific recommendation is suggest specific times for the call or provide a link to schedule. So what I would always do is provide a link, and I provide a link in a really respectful way. I'll say, hey, first, give them a specific time and say, hey, love to have the conversation with you next Tuesday or Wednesday if you're available. Please feel free to send me your calendar link, or here's mine if it's easier for you. And 9 times out of 10, they're going to use your calendar link, or they'll send you theirs, which is awesome too. But it's more definitive and just, yeah, it just simply works. All right. So overall, they got a 6.4 out of 10, which ain't bad. Ain't bad, especially considering this is an awareness campaign. I'm not super mad at this. Couple little tweaks and it could be a 7. And in an awareness campaign, that's kind of what I'm looking for, because awareness is more of a wide net of fishing, and it's about again, awareness. So it's less targeted. So getting a 7 out of 10, I think, is really crushing it on an awareness campaign. The tool says enhance personalization, clarify Reggie's role, and provide more specific and convenient CTA. Those are easy fixes for them. So if they just adjust those things, they'll get over a 7, and I believe that's crushing for an awareness campaign. And then it goes ahead, of course, and gives specific advice. So you can see, gives a couple of alternatives. Reggie could have said, "Hey, I'm Reggie, leading the business show, US Minds premier SMB growth event." You guys can see these couple different things. To what I do, we offer a platform to showcase your coaching, directly engage with over 6,000 SMB leaders. If I was Reggie, I'd be all in. Hopefully, Reggie, you're watching this, because this is just a really simple way for you to adjust and be more effective. Because you're an awareness campaign, you kind of want to be as efficient as possible. Um, Less is more. So if you can say less and still give that level of like clear understanding and alignment, you'll crush it with an awareness campaign. So anyway, overall, Reggie, not bad. Couple things you could improve on, and getting that around a 7 for an awareness campaign would is really good. All right. So that's that. I know we shared a lot today. Um, I hope that AI information, in terms of like the philosophy around how to use it, and sharing my own experience thus far, has helped some of you guys to be a little bit more conscientious of these tools and how you might use them for your own business. I'm going to continue to take lumps for you guys for the next couple of months, and refine it. Um, Business entrepreneurship is all about starts and stops. So it's constant refinement, it's constant um, evaluation, reiterations, but learning through each part of the process so that you can ultimately get to something that is effective, and that you can feel good about. And that's what we're doing. That's what I'm working on with this. So, apologies in advance to those that are part of my network and community that maybe have got a email or a direct message that you don't love, but know that the intention is good, and it's going to ultimately help a much broader community. Because when I'm done, we'll also create a new course centered around this stuff so that you guys can plug in and do the course and not have to invest all the time and money that I've invested, and I'm continuing to invest to get it right. Because what's more important than being right is getting it right. And we got to get right. This is a critical time in business. A lot of people that are challenged in technology, sales, and beyond. And these technologies are moving so quickly. And like I said at the outset of this, wow, there's so many benefits in terms of how we can become more efficient and how we can leverage these technologies to be successful in our business and sales. Don't get it twisted; they're absolutely a threat to you as well. Um, Absolutely. And so, if you don't figure out how to make them work, it's just like anything else, any other technology advancement that we can look to. It's like if you were in the radio world back in the 40s and crushing it in radio, and you pushed back against television, right? Like, oh, you didn't believe in this medium. Oh, people don't have televisions. Think about that. Back in the 40s, 30s, 40s, everyone had a radio in their home. Everyone had a radio in their home. Everyone did not have a television. Not only did they not have a television, if they did have a television, they had like one or two channels. If you didn't have the foresight and the growth mindset back then, you were about to be screwed 10 years from then, right? Because you'd be saying, well, everyone's got a radio. Radios are easy, blah, blah, blah. And then look, 10 years later, television gets to where it is and radio starts declining. That's what we have to look at. That's what we got to be thinking about when these new technologies come out, like AI and automation. Like, we can fight it, but there's certain things, these fundamental technologies to how we do business and how we communicate, that once the genie's out the bottle, it's a wrap. That's the way that it's going. So instead of fighting it, we got to figure out how to make it work, leveraging the fundamentals of doing great business. And that's what we're doing. So thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Have a fantastic week. Happy holidays.